Coming up on MMA Live, a middleweight showdown on Super Saturday. Anderson Silva has never lost in the UFC. Does Vitor Belfort have what it takes to pull off the stunner in Sin City? UFC 126, also a big night for the UFC's banner division. Will Rich Franklin come up aces against Forrest Griffin? Plus, Johnny Jones will join us. Does a win over Ryan Bader set up a title shot for Angry Johnny? And make it 9 straight wins for Nick Diaz, but just wait until you see how the Strikeforce champ got it done in Cali. MMA Live starts now.
It's time! Wow. Here we go! Vitor Belfort is the winner! Anderson Silva remains the middleweight champion! Waters in big trouble. Rich Franklin looking to finish the fight. What a performance by Forrest Griffin! Big elbows from Johnny Jones.
Well, it doesn't get much better than this. UFC 126 Saturday night could very well be epic just in case. MMA Live going to be in the building for the title fight between Anderson Silva and Vitor Belfort. We have 2 shows for you Saturday. The preview show, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN.com, and then a 1-hour post-fight extra that is 1 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. And with that, MMA Live back on your television. John Anik alongside the UFC lightweight Kenny Florian, our ESPN.com MMA insider Franklin McNeil is here as well. So guys, UFC 126 Mandalay Bay Saturday night. Now this is one of the most anticipated UFC events we've had in a long time. I know we say that a lot. Kenny, this card is absolutely loaded.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I'm very fired up for this event. You know, this is really a dream matchup for me as far as the middleweights go. Finally, we have a very, very capable contender in Vitor Belfort. Possesses a lot of skills that can give Anderson Silva a lot of problems.
The thing that interests me is who's going to get fight of the night? I mean, there's so many good fights on this card, a lot of potential for there to be a lot of finishes. There's just so much. The fans obviously bought up all the tickets. It's going to be a really good night of mixed martial arts.
And McNeil's smiling. We know it's a good card if Franklin's smiling.
Excited.
All right, well, let's get right into the main event. Anderson Silva puts his UFC record 12-fight winning streak on the line against Vitor Belfort. We'll get you the tail of the tape. Now, a lot of people remember Anderson Silva's last fight, taking a whole lot of punishment against Chael Sonnen before rallying for the win by submission. And you see in terms of the activity, both guys similar in terms of the amount of fights, but Anderson Silva, Kenny's been the far more active fighter of late. How do you think he responds based upon the last fight against Chael?
Well, you know, he's been the more active fighter, but he's been the more consistent fighter. You look at how many wins he has in a row as opposed to Vitor Belfort. And you know what? I think that last fight against Chael Sonnen was a good thing. I think he came back from adversity, and we cannot forget, he went into that fight injured. He had a bad rib injury, and he came back from adversity in that fight, before the fight, to win by submission over a tough Chael Sonnen.
All right, so you see the full screen there. Most consecutive wins in UFC history. Anderson Silva sort of in a class by himself right now. You think maybe George St. Pierre could chase down that record, but Silva tries to extend it. Now, we talk so much, Franklin, about these guys as strikers. Both very elite, both have boxed professionally in the past, but isn't Anderson Silva still the better striker here, or not necessarily?
I don't want to say that. I mean, yeah, on paper and what we've seen of him, maybe. He's the better boxer. He's more elusive. He has a different type of skill. But there's nothing that he's going to do that's going to surprise Vitor Belfort. He is a boxer as well, a different type of boxer, more of a brawler. So he's not going to be confused for the most part. If he connects flush, we could have a new UFC middleweight champion.
You know, these are 2 of the most elite strikers that we have in mixed martial arts today, and they have 2 very distinct styles. You know, I would compare Anderson Silva to a Muhammad Ali kind of style, where he's flashy, really uses a lot of rhythm, a lot of footwork. Vitor Belfort will be in your face, more like a Mike Tyson type of style. Look for a mistake, get on the inside, and take you out as quickly as he can.
Well, you see the accolades keep coming for Anderson Silva. Another UFC record, wins in championship fights, 8 of those to this point for the Spider. Now, I do want to point this out. At the UFC pre-fight press conference on Wednesday, Dana White said this could be the most dynamic, incredible fight we've ever seen, or the worst staring competition in the history of mankind. You don't really see it that way. You think we're getting fireworks.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it because I think Vitor Belfort knows that he has to go and pressure Anderson Silva. That's where Anderson, you know, may have struggled, especially in the beginning. You know, you had have Vitor Belfort, who starts off very, very quick, very dangerous. Anderson Silva will take a couple minutes to kind of analyze you. He's like a computer. He'll kind of see exactly what you're doing, and then he'll pick you apart after that.
All right, let's stay on Vitor Belfort. Pretty credentialed guy himself, a former UFC champion, trying to become the 6th fighter in UFC history to win multiple titles. His title reigns would also have the largest gap between them. Hasn't been a champion for several years. Why do people think that this guy, and maybe not other guys, has a great shot? Is it just the power that he possesses in the hands?
No. In Vitor Belfort, you have the speed, you have the power in his hands. He's a diverse striker as well. He can knee, he can kick. He's an other southpaw. And you look at the guys, the way he's taken them out, it's been his striking for sure, but he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he also possesses some very good and underrated wrestling skills.
All right, well, Vitor Belfort getting the title shot in what will be his UFC middleweight debut. Now, you see here 25 of his 27 professional fights coming above the 185-pound limit. Franklin, though, you think maybe he is deserving of this opportunity?
Yeah, I think he is just on his body of work. I just think that that's what's got him here. There were some rumblings from the Silva camp early on about him not deserving it, but all of his skill sets and his mindset makes him a very dangerous fighter at this time, possibly the most dangerous middleweight to face Anderson Silva.
Now, I'll tell you something right now. Similar to Anderson Silva, a focused Vitor Belfort can beat anybody in the 185-pound weight class and the 205.
Yeah, well, Vitor Belfort coming off an extended layoff here, and I think maybe that's why some of the experts aren't necessarily giving him a chance. His last fight, September of 2009, against Rich Franklin, that was more than 500 days ago. You see here some of the longest layoffs in UFC history before fighting for a UFC title. Kenny, sort of hard to know how much of a factor that this will be. But that is just a monumental amount of days between his last fight and right now.
It is, and that may very well be a factor, going into this fight. It's important to stay active, especially, you want to have that confidence and that momentum going into a fight, and obviously having a 500-day layoff, that could be too much.
Yeah, but I think in many ways the layoff was good for Vitor because he needed to heal. We know he had a torn left labrum. That's, fully, he's 100% now. You want him going, he wants to go into this fight 100%, and he will be 100% physically and mentally, and that's the key in this fight for him.
We know how aggressive Vitor Belfort is. We saw that firsthand against Rich Franklin and really throughout his UFC career. Is that the strategy, though, here, or would he be wise to exercise some patience early on?
Well, you need patience anytime you're going against Anderson Silva, but I think it's in Vitor's best interest to go out there and pressure Anderson Silva. I believe that's going to be part of the strategy. He needs to be able to slip outside those straight punches to Anderson Silva, get to the inside, and use that speed and power to try to hurt Anderson early to try to get that respect.
And also it makes Anderson have to think. Like if you got a guy coming at you, he's not going to have to be in a position to control the entire fight. And that's what Vitor wants to do. Make him think about what he's doing.
When's the last time